Just curious, what steps have you seen? What growth have you seen from Kyle Trask this fall camp?
He's done a tremendous job so far, just in terms of taking everything to the next level from a leadership standpoint, from a football standpoint. Even doing a great job with his body. I mean, he's down probably 10 or 12 pounds. He's looking lean. And we're just continuing to develop and add on to what he did last year in terms of the starting point. So we were able to start at a much higher level. Both of the guys actually, they did a good job missing spring ball. We had a bunch of meetings and Zoom meetings, so those guys stayed really engaged throughout the course of the break and came out firing.
Goldie, fire away.
Yeah, Brian, I was wondering with that weight loss for Kyle Trask, what does that allow him to do differently, maybe?
Well, I think the obvious is just his suddenness in the pocket, his escapability, being able to evade rushers and things of that nature. But I just think he feels a lot more comfortable in being able to get energy on the ball and just feeling strong and lean. When we first got here, he was probably around the weight that he is now. And then once he had broke the foot, he gained probably 10 or 12 pounds after that. And then now he's kind of back down to his, original weight from that first spring when we were here. And you can really see just the foot quickness and the body quickness improvements.
What have you seen from him in terms of just willing to be, a more willing runner over time?
Well, he's been a willing runner. That hasn't been an issue for us. I think his biggest thing is understanding when to run. Maybe hang in the pocket and just understanding just complete situational football. And it's been good for us to kind of get to that point the last couple of days and throw some third downs, throw some red zone at him, and just see how we handle key moments throughout the course of a game. So, I was really pleased with how he came out in the scrimmage last week, and he was kind of firing on all cylinders and played really efficiently.
Matt Baker.
Hey, Brian, where have you seen the most growth so far from Emory Jones compared to last year?
Well, Emory, Emory's a very special talent. In terms of his just overall football knowledge, we can run our base with both quarterbacks. The thing that becomes different is just they both have a different skill set. So we can run the same play and get two different outcomes just because of the skill set of the quarterback. So he's done a great job of improving on a day-to-day basis of just his consistency of performance. And Emory is always, every time he's gotten in the game, he's played really, really well. And my challenge to him has always been is be consistent in everything that you do. And he's really continued to do that and improve. And I love coaching Emory. I think he's a fantastic player, fantastic talent, and can't wait to watch him play.
Yeah, that was the follow-up is how has he improved in his consistency? Because obviously he can make some splash plays, but it's about doing it regularly.
Yeah, we always talk about that in our room is the quarterback being able to make the non-spectacular play, that doesn't get on Sports Center, that's going to keep our offense on the field, whether it's a check down or a run check or just different things that come up within the situation of the game that's not a flash play that most people wouldn't know about. That's something that myself and Coach Mullen, really, really talk about with the entire group is the consistency of performance. Is you gotta have that extremely high standard of yourself and a high level of play each and every practice, each and every game.
Thank you.
Nick, go ahead.
Coach, probably, I think we asked during the season, but you don't really have time in the season to go back and look at everything. When you go back now and look at how you used Emory and how you used Kyle throughout the season, is there anything you would change, or do you like how you were able to get Emory involved even though you're still trying to work Kyle in and get him used to being the starter?
Yeah, I mean, it just became so situational. It was really good that we were able to get both guys some really quality reps and in big-time moments. Everybody always talks about how can you play two quarterbacks, and we just try to preach to those guys is when the other guy runs on, you run off, and we use it to our advantage, really because you can coach the other guy up on the bench during the drive of, kind of preparing him for what you're going to call when he goes in. So, I think it's on us to make sure that we get the most out of our players and put them in a position to be successful on a consistent basis week in and week out.
And then you've got another guy on campus now, and Anthony Richardson from just down the street. How tough was it for him? Because he enrolled early, and I know he got to do a little bit before the bowl game, but then really enrolled early to have a spring, to not have a spring. But what have you seen from him just in the time that he's been on campus?
Well, I mean, he's obviously got a ton of God-given ability, and he's a really fast learner. With him missing spring ball, I was a little concerned in terms of him not being able to get those reps and miss those really, really valuable reps in the spring. But like I said, he was really, really engaged in our Zooms over the summer. And he came in, and he's a great note taker. He's a great listener, and he really, gives you everything in terms of his energy and effort to become a really great player. And he's got a fantastic skill set. We just got to continue to keep developing him at a rapid rate, and he's got to continue to just keep pushing, keep developing. But I've liked what I've seen so far out of him.
David, fire away.
Coach, we saw videos of Trask working out, I guess, back at home during the summer in Texas. What's the communication like between him and whoever the trainer is, of making sure he's working on the stuff that you guys want him to work on?
Yeah, I think all of these guys, you got to think how the rules start. So we only get very, very limited time with the football with the quarterback. When you think about a practice in terms of the individual time, we probably get more than most at the position just because we take them during special teams. But to improve a skill, right? Throwing is a skill, and to improve that skill, we don't get a ton of time with them with football throughout the course of an offseason other than the spring practices. So, I think there's definitely a need to continue for those guys to go and get work and continue to improve the skill of throwing. And there's constant communication, in terms of what they need to work on, what our expectations are. Okay,
and early on, some of the more experienced wide receivers were not in fall camp. So how was it for your quarterbacks working with the inexperienced wide receivers in Henderson, Frazier's, and Shorter?
It was great. I think those guys got a lot of valuable reps for particularly for the young guys, but even for the quarterbacks that have been here, put them in a position to where they had to elevate others' level of play with their own. So, we're regardless of who's out there, we got to continue to go and get our reads and make sure that we're operating at a really high level in practice on a consistent basis.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, Robbie, you're up.
Hey, Coach. Coach, can you talk about Emory's development as a passer? He seems to have a very live arm.
Yes, he's got a ton of juice in his arm. And he's continued to get better and better. His arm strength has never been a problem. He gets in games, and he's really, really accurate with the ball as well. Like I said, it just all comes down to him putting everything together. And, in a practice setting, it's a little different because he has a completely different skill set, and he can be dynamic and change the game with his legs as well. So when you got somebody like that can do everything, it really makes it tough on the defense. And it really changes the looks that you get. So you get some premium looks to spin the rock, and he's been able to do that for us, and I've been happy with his development so far.
Has he earned a bigger playing role, Coach, in games, or is that to be determined?
Yeah, I mean, Coach, when we start getting into game preparation and how we want to attack certain defenses, but I can tell you with all certainty we're going to need everybody in the quarterback room to contribute at a high level in order for us to get to where we need to be as an offense. So those guys understand that, and I'm looking forward to watching them work and watching them play.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Zach Goodall.
Hey, Coach. So I was curious what you think the benefits are in a year like this, having two quarterbacks that you're truly comfortable being able to put into the game at any time?
Yeah, I think depth is a huge advantage in any year, particularly in a year with such uncertainty going forward. So, I think one of the things that's definitely one of the things that'll help us moving forward is that we have confidence that guys can go in the game and execute at a high level, not only at the quarterback position, but throughout the entire offense. So, everybody's done a really good job of throughout the installation period of getting everything in and getting comfortable with where we need to be and then continuing to improve on a daily basis.
And then also, not to get too hypothetical, but, say the worst did come to worst this year and you did have to deal with going into your depth. Say maybe it was COVID impacted the quarterback room or there are injuries. What would you turn to as a backup plan if you've thought about that at all? I mean, a guy like Kadarius Toney maybe stepping in at quarterback where he has experience, or what are your thoughts there?
Well, I know I can't play, so I will be out. But other than that, we'll put something together. I think the good thing is that we have an experienced offensive staff and guys have been together for a really long time, and we all have a background in a bunch of different offense. So, worst case scenario, knock on wood, I'm sure we'd come up with something to get it done.
You sure that you couldn't play?
Yeah, I'll give you one series and I'm out. Everything's a check down.
It's just an eligibility thing, not an arm talent thing.
Thank you.
Stack up already. You're up.
What's going on, Brian? I want to read you this. I'm sure you have seen this before, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I've been dying to get your reaction. Pro Football Focus came out with some rankings a few weeks ago, and they had Kyle ranked as the 48th best quarterback, which, the ranking is irregardless. But just wanted to know what you thought about the criticisms where they said that he wasn't able to make some big-time throws. And one sentence in particular, he got extremely lucky in most of those turnover-worthy plays, which made his box score stats look better than he actually was. What's your reaction to that? Did you see that when it came out?
I did not see that. That's the first I'm hearing of it. I think Kyle's made a bunch of big-time throws for us. And, I don't know how PFF classifies big-time throws. I'm sure they have some metric that they go by. In terms of quarterbacking, I think he does an excellent job with the ability to put different tempos on the ball to anticipate windows, check the ball down appropriately, get us into the right run checks, get us into the right plays, manage the offense. I think he does a great job. I couldn't think of 48 guys that I'd rather have than him. So I don't know.
Sure. And then as far as Emory, talking about his improvement, taking the next step this year, how much of that will be him trying to get whole drives to himself? And I know you guys gave him some of those opportunities last year, but how much could we see more of that from him this year where Kyle's not, maybe getting the initial first downs or having to bail him out on 3rd and long?
Yeah. I think it'll just continue to be, dependent on the game plan and how we feel like we can best help our team. Like I said before, I think in order for us to reach our ultimate goals, we're going to need everybody in that quarterback room to operate at a high level at all times. So, I'm positive he'll be ready to go.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Cassidy, go ahead.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, Cassidy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
A couple of things. One, I know we talk a lot about sort of in the abstract what Kyle could do with a year under his belt now, but just nuts and bolts, how much will the playbook look different, if at all, this year?
Well, so much of it is personnel driven and based on what type of team we have. And I think that's one of the things that Coach Mullen does a great job of is, in the game of football, each year is independent. Each game is independent. So, we got to have the ability to kind of be a chameleon and do what we need to do in order to win the game. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to look this season, especially with all the uncertainty. But, I can say with certainty that he's, Kyle and Emory are both operating at a high level, and we feel comfortable giving those guys the reins in terms of them understanding big picture football now. And it's year 3 in the system for both of them. So they understand things that we like, things that we don't like, certain automatic checks, things of that nature, because they've had a bunch of experience and a bunch of practice reps to be ready for that moment.
Just for reference, had you given him the full playbook, say by the FSU game last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you say the term full playbook, I don't know if anybody ever gets the full playbook because we just don't take that many plays into a game.
Okay.
But we give them the full game plan. And, we try to build a game plan each and every week that they can execute at a high level and that highlights their talents and ultimately one that gives us the best chance to win the game.
And then second, I don't know how much you and Alex Smith have been able to keep up over the years, but how much can you look at what he's done and use that as lessons for your guys? Say like, hey, this is somebody who powered through life and death to come back.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't say enough about Alex. He's still one of my closest friends. We had him on the phone the other day. Speakerphone, I brought him in. He got a chance to talk to Coach Mullen for a little bit too. I couldn't be prouder of him. He's like a big brother to me. He always has been. Like I said, I've known him since I was 16 years old. So he's someone that I really look up to and just can't say enough positive things about what he's fought through, the adversity he's fought through to get back to this position and put himself in a position to where he's practicing and has the potential to play is unbelievable.
Was that call just with Mullen or with the QBs as well?
It was just me and Coach Mullen because he called in the middle of the day. We were in the office. So, but yeah, I talk to my quarterbacks all the time about just different guys that I've been around at the position, different guys that I've coached, and different experiences that come up. So, they've heard all the stories for sure.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go Goldie and then close with Edgar before the players get in here.
Yeah, Brian, I'm curious. I know you're focused heavily on the quarterbacks, obviously, but have there been any groups in fall camp on the offense that have made you kind of say, wow, these guys are going to make our life easy?
Well, I've been really impressed with our offensive line. I think Coach Hevesy does a fantastic job with those guys continuing to develop and just creating a bunch of depth. We had a bunch of youth last year, some guys that we redshirted, and then those young receivers and Xavier Henderson and Jaquavian Frazier's and Jamarcus Weston, Trent Whitmore, some of those guys have stepped up and made a bunch of plays throughout the course of training camp. So it's been good to see the guys develop and hit their stride.
Edgar, go ahead.
Yeah, Brian, so you've been around Kyle a couple years now. How much has he evolved just in terms of just being vocal and just confident? I mean, he seems to kind of have found his voice lately, particularly.
Yeah, I think, you come to college to mature and kind of find yourself. And he's in a situation where he's going into his 5th year of college. So he's had a bunch of experiences that have shaped him to this point. And, I think he's in a position now to where he feels extremely confident and comfortable with who he is and what he stands for. And like I told him, I'm really, really proud of him to see his continued growth and development. We talk a lot about that, things other than football in our room. And, he's someone that has a really good head on his shoulders. He's not afraid to speak his mind. He's inquisitive. He asks questions, and he's a thinker. He's somebody that everybody can look up to, and he sets a standard, an extremely high standard for himself through his actions, and now through his words. So it's been good to see.
And Brian, one more, the run game, the balance on offense really was exceptional in year one. Wasn't really there last year, but you guys obviously had a great passing game. How much would balance benefit Kyle in terms of like play action and things like that? And are you seeing more strides made there right now?
Yeah, I think so. Ultimately, I've always been a big believer that, balance is kind of abstract. I think for us, balance is making the defense cover the entire length and width of the field, and all 5 positional players have the ability to be involved in the play and to potentially hurt the defense. So, you know, in a more traditional sense, in terms of run-pass balance, I do think, you know, we've made improvements, particularly with the tailback and running back in terms of just streamlining the run game so guys can be really confident and comfortable with what they're doing. And I think the coaches have all done a great job throughout this dead time of Zoom meeting of having their guys really engaged and getting to some high-level football.
Thank you.
Thank you.